Hey everyone, just checking to make sure all of the connections are okay. Just checking to also make sure you can hear me, see me okay. Just give me a thumbs up if you can. All right, like I promised, I'm going to be live pretty much every week. Just waiting for a couple of folks to join us today, but essentially going to be talking about any and all questions that you guys have with respect to master's applications or even undergraduate applications to any country abroad. I'm also going to essentially talk about particulars of the timelines that you guys need to be following. So just wait for a couple of folks to join in and then we can get started. In the meanwhile, whoever's joined in, if you can let me know if you can see me, hear me okay, just type that in the chat box and I'd really appreciate it. All right. Just checking one more time if I'm audible, if you can see me, hear me okay. Can someone please really quickly confirm? And I'll jump straight into the specifics of the timelines first, then move on to answering any specific questions that you guys might have. Just one of you, if you can tell me you can hear me, I'd really appreciate it. Great. It looks like we are live. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining in. Without further ado, right, I want to get started on the timelines first. We are in almost the middle part of October. Depending on the degree that you're applying to, most of the deadlines are going to be upon us very, very quickly. Let's break it down by degree type. Let's say you are a master's in computer science applicant. Most of your deadlines are going to be November 15th, December 1st, December 15th, at least the first round deadlines. And therefore, it is imperative that you would have already started working on your statements of purpose. If you haven't, please go ahead and watch the recording of Srika's webinar from last week, where he talked about the SOP, where he breaks down every single paragraph of the SOP and talks to you about how you should be attempting each one of them. Let's then also try and concentrate a little bit on some of the other programs as well. So if you are someone who's looking to apply to for the MIS, business analytics, data science sort of degrees, most of the deadlines are also going to be around the same time. So it's going to be November 15th, December 1st, December 15th sort of deadlines. And I would highly, highly encourage you to get started on your SOPs if you haven't done so already. If you are folks that are looking to apply to MEMs, some first round deadlines are December 15th, some are January 15th. Irrespective, you should get started in terms of the applications process already. Folks, here is a quick tip that I would recommend that you guys take into consideration and give it a lot of focus. If you know at least 4 or 5 universities you are definitely going to be applying to, make sure to open up the portals, create your account IDs, user info, etc. Go ahead and start filling out all of the information, because a lot of universities that you guys are going to be applying to might not have just a straightforward SOP, but also might have a lot of other essays that you might have to write. Duke MEM is a great example. It does not have a straightforward SOP, has a bunch of short answer questions that you will have to essentially answer. So from that perspective, right, make sure to get started on writing, on filling out the applications first, and simultaneously also writing all of the essays that you require to get into to submit these applications successfully. I will open up the floor for any and all questions, so keep it coming. As and when it comes, I will take them. But here is a short timeline of how long it takes for you to finish up applications. This is almost the mid of October. By now, you should have identified the universities you're going to be applying to, the courses you're going to be applying to, and should have opened up the portals for each one of them. By now, you should have also started to fill out all of the information required by the universities on their portals and have a fair sense of which university wants what kind of essay. Depending on that, you should have already started working on your application essays, especially the statements of purpose. Seeker, my founder, did a fantastic webinar last week on how to structure your statements of purpose. So the recording of that, someone from the team will put it down here. Make sure to look at that. I will be conducting another seminar tomorrow. Next week, I will be conducting another webinar specifically for statements of purpose as applied to computer science and allied sort of courses that you will be applying to. We'll do complete shortlist, complete SOP, complete letters of recommendation, complete resume sort of workshop next weekend. All right, I'm seeing a couple of questions pop in. Ariz asks us how to prepare for the video interview questions for MEM. Great question, Ariz. Most of the video interviews are either pre-recorded or with an alumni. For most of the interviews, right, there are 4 or 5 themes that I would keep in mind. What are my long-term and short-term goals? Prepare the answer to this. Why are these goals important to me? Prepare the answer for this. Get started with a little bit of understanding of why you are applying to that particular institution, what you will gain from the degree itself. So have some bullet points around that. Second, next point would be to think about what core leadership activities and experience you have and how that has shaped you to be the individual that you are today. So these are some of the themes that you should prepare upon. Most of the Kira interviews are pulled from a set database of about 5,000, 6,000 questions. So it's very difficult for us to predict what question is going to come for you. But if you have these 4 or 5 questions or themes prepared, most of the answers to the questions, most of the questions that will come on the interviews are going to be within these themes as such. So that's a way for you to prepare for these video interview questions for the MEM and for information systems as well. It's not just the MEMs. All right, folks. Any other questions? Go ahead. I'm going to be here for about the next 20, 25 minutes. Let's go ahead and see if there are any other questions that you guys have. All right. One of the other things that I want to sort of touch upon and talk about today is making sure that you have the structure of the SOP right. If you look at the webinar from last week that speaker hopped on and the recording of that, you will see that usually SOPs are about 6 to 7 paragraphs long. And if there was one abbreviation that you need to keep in mind when it comes to the SOP, it's the STAR. So I will talk to you a little specifically about what the STAR format or the framework looks like. Not just for SOPs, in life, if you are ever faced interviews or if you're writing documents, keep in mind the STAR framework: situation, tasks, actions, and results. For every single project, workex, internship that you write about in your resume, in the SOP, in the resume, make sure that everything is within this particular framework with a lot of emphasis on the results. What were the impacts that you created? What were the learning outcomes that came out of it? What were some of the quantitative metrics that you drove for that particular project? Those are all really, really good results that you can use for the particular SOP. Nikhil asks us, are personal statement and SOP the same? The answer is no, but also it depends. Don't go by the question, go by what the prompt is. The statement of purpose is a great summary or is a document which summarizes all of the work experience that you have, showcases light on what your future goals are, and talks about how this particular university is going to add value, how you are going to be valuable to the university as well in order to get to the goals that you've highlighted. The personal statement, on the other hand, is a much more profoundly personal document. It has to talk about your background, your circumstances that led you to think about getting an undergraduate and now a graduate degree, and a lot more about the non-professional aspects of your life. So with the personal statement, again, focus on the question that is being asked. Don't worry about the title. Let the title be personal statement or statement of purpose. Concentrate on the question that is given. Only one or two universities in my list require a WES evaluation. Is it worth to get it done? Aris, I think great question. WES is proving to be very, very expensive as well as a time consuming process. So if there is any way, if you only have one or two universities that are taking the WES, you can skip it, replace that with other universities. But before you do that, make sure to email the university and ask them for a WES waiver. Tell them that the process is financially pretty harsh on you, as well as in terms of the time. In order to be able to submit the application on time, it's going to take a lot more. When you do that, universities might waive it off for you. So that's a way for you to get away with the waiver. If they are not, then go ahead and replace them with universities that don't require the WES. My favorite question, I'm planning for fall 23 intake. By when should I be ready with the GRE scores? The answer is April or May of this year. So it is in the past. It's ideal for you to have given the GRE back in April, May, March, June, that area. Right now, if you're thinking about starting the GRE and then giving the GRE, let's say in December, you're already very, very late. My recommendation, because of the fact that international students, when they're applying, have a higher chance of getting in when they apply early and when they apply in the first rounds, my recommendation would be to complete your applications and go apply to universities where the GRE is waived off. Do not start the preparation for the GRE right now and put in December and think that you will get into university, because that's not going to happen. How tough is it to make it for MS in CS at USC? USC over the past few years, actually over the past 6 years, if you look at the profiles and sit down and analyze it, every single student that has gotten in usually has a GPA above 8.8, usually above 9, but usually 8.8 over a scale of 10. Those are the kinds of people that have made it to USC. USC's class size also has increased. It's somewhere around 500, 600 mark, which includes all of the concentrations, the specializations for computer science. So not too difficult if your GPA is pretty high, but very difficult if there isn't a GPA on your profile. All right, let's talk a little bit more about the timelines and why I think it is important for you guys to get started on writing the SOPs right now. Statements of purpose, to come up with really high quality statements of purpose, it takes about anywhere between a month or a month and a half process where you're sitting down, writing your thoughts, editing it coherently, sending that out to other people for reviews, getting all of those reviews back, and then sitting down and doing 2, 3, 4 iterations of the SOP. It takes a consistent amount of time of about month and a half for you to get high quality SOPs out. Therefore, if the first deadlines are November 15th or December 1st, you're already pushing it too much in terms of delays on the application front. I would highly recommend, if you have not already started it, absolutely go ahead, schedule your free consultation call with us. Let us help you with the SOPs and the letters of recommendation. But even if you are doing it on your own, if you haven't started already, absolutely sit down this weekend and get a head start on it. A great place to start, of course, is Sika's webinar from last week. We should be having that recording up somewhere pretty soon. So go to that, set up some time with us if you need any expert professional help, and we'll be happy to get on a call with you. Can a tier 3 student with no research paper get into MIT, Harvard, Stanford? The answer is no. Again, I'm assuming that this is for computer science, data science, and some of the allied fields, MEM even. Tier 3 is not the problem. The lack of research experience at the undergraduate level is the problem. Without enough research for programs like information systems, analytics, data science and computer science, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to get in. Is it good if we pursue masters in mechanical engineering and aerospace, considering job prospects for international students? Mechanical engineering is absolutely okay, my friend. I would advise against aerospace engineering. The two big firms that I can think of within the aerospace sector, Pratt and Whitney, Booz Allen Hamilton, and a couple of other, Boeing and all of these guys that contract mostly to the government, are very scared and skeptical of hiring international students on a visa. So most of these companies do not hire international students. What they do is contract a bunch of their work to subcontractors, and those subcontractors are usually likely to take up international students. However, I would not recommend doing aerospace as a degree by itself. I would recommend doing mechanical. You can do a specialization in aero, sure, but don't do aero as a standalone master's degree. Kiran asks us, there are a lot of students getting admits to NEO. What is the reason? Is it a safe university? By no means is not a safe university, my friend. Northeastern is perhaps the best co-op program in the entire country. Northeastern's co-op essentially drives every single student that gets in to be able to get a job, and unheard of placement statistics, even at places like Purdue, for example, USC, etc. So Northeastern is turning out to be a dark horse in terms of their international student placements because of the internship and the co-op opportunity that the university provides. Therefore, Northeastern is a university that a lot of folks seems to be applying to, and they are more than happy accommodating all of them with their newly opened branches in a bunch of different cities: Seattle, Vancouver, Silicon Valley, of course, main campus, Boston. So they've opened up a bunch of different branches, and that's why you're seeing a lot more admits to Northeastern. All right, let's look at the next question. Can MEM programs help me pivoting into product management? How is MOT at NYU? MEM programs, if you are low on work experience, if you are 3 years and below in terms of work experience, absolutely will help you get into product management roles, provided you take the correct electives, you build your portfolio of products or projects, and you make sure that you get the right kind of internship. All right. Given the MEM degree and its popularity and its rise in popularity over the few years, product management has become one of the consistently solid outcome from an MEM degree. Therefore, the answer to your first question is yes, absolutely. It will help you pivot into product management. However, just based on the MEM degree, you won't get in. You will need to build up a good portfolio of projects, good portfolio of products, and a couple of really good internships. NYU MOT, decent program, not the best. I would recommend looking at some of the other MEM programs: Duke, Cornell, Columbia, Dartmouth, of course, Stanford, of course. If you do have the profile to get in, those would be the profiles, those would be the universities that I would recommend much more than NYU's MOT program. Johns Hopkins even. How do you rate the MSCS program at NYU Tandon? Just because of the fact that it is NYU and because of the fact that it's in New York City, Tandon or Courant does not really matter so much. The program in itself is pretty solid. The flexibility, however, is a little low. However, in terms of the program, absolutely brilliant. If you do get in, if you have already gotten in, definitely recommend that you go there. Sheikh, I don't think you are late for 23 fall. You are on time. I'm saying don't delay it. Most of the deadlines for fall 2023 are either going to be December 15th or January 15th. There is enough time for you to finish the GRE in time. All I'm saying is start working on the rest of the application material first before giving the GRE. How do you, yeah, same question. NYU, you will get a job. It's New York City. Don't worry about the jobs. All right, keep the questions coming in, folks. Okay, Anish asks us, how will be masters in data science and public policy at CMU and BU? At CMU, it's offered by Heinz, the School of Information, School of Public Policy. At Heinz, there are much better programs that you can apply to and get into. MISM BIDA is a great example of a program that is at the same school that public policy is given by, but much better in terms of the pedigree and the kinds of job opportunities you can get after you graduate. So I would recommend MISM at Heinz instead of the data analytics and public policy. At BU, decent program, you can absolutely go ahead. Can work experience compensate for lack of research papers for MEM? First of all, understand what the MEM degree is. MEM, MIS, business analytics, data analytics. These are 4 degrees that are professional in nature. You don't necessarily need research papers to be able to get into these programs. You do need work experience though. Looks like I have a couple of internet issues connecting to another Wi-Fi. Just give me 1 second.